Parshat Lech Lecha. Now we are learning a speech given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the King Moshiach, in 1992. Parshat Lech Lecha, just like now. Lech Lecha, let's go. Parshat Lech Lecha. What does Parshat Lech Lecha talk about? It talks about Abraham. Abraham was mentioned in the end of last week's Torah portion, Noach, that Abraham was born. Abraham, when he's 75 years old, he's serving God, doing everything he can to recognize what is God, is there God, what I should do for God. God is the creator of the universe. Why is he creating me? There's laws of nature. Is there a law for me? I wrote a song about that, by the way. You can look it up if you want to on, what is it? On YouTube. Tuvia Bolton, Avram, I think, song, music. Anyway, look, I think it's there. Parshat Lech Lecha is a Parsha Klalit Ve'ikarit. It is a general and an essential Torah portion. Okay, just one small word about the Torah. The Torah was given by God directly to the Jewish people. The book of Bereshit, it says, was given before that, a little bit before that. It's called the Sefer HaBrit, that God gave that also to Moses, and he gave it also to the Jewish people. But as part of the Torah, everybody knew that Moses received the Torah, that it was God's word, and every single word of these stories is, every letter is the Torah. If one letter is missing, then you can't read from the Torah. Now you have to fix that letter. Some say you can't read from that book, but anyway, that's the laws. You can't use from that, or can't read from that. So this is pretty heavy stuff. I mean, if the Torah is really the word of God himself, so there's a lot of really seemingly totally extraneous things in the Torah. They have no connection to anything. Nothing whatsoever. We just finished all the names of the sons, the offspring of Noah. Who cares, right? All these people, right? This person gave birth to this person gave to the. What do we get? This happened thousands of years ago. But the fact of the matter is that everything is important, just like in a human being. Every little corpuscle and every little nerve or whatever it is of the nerves or what do they call those things? Synods or something like that. Anyway, every little detail of your body is important. And it's tremendously complicated. And every detail is made also of all these little molecules and atoms and all this other stuff. So it's all important. Same thing with the Torah. Every letter of the Torah is tremendously important. And that's what the commentaries on the Torah, the genuine commentaries of the Torah, they reveal what is hidden in the Torah. Okay, so here we have the story of Abraham. The story of Abraham starts off with God tells Abraham, Lech Lecha, go, leave your land, leave your security, leave your success, leave your holiness, leave your fame, and go to a place where I'm going to show you. And God starts putting Abraham through the ringer. Gives him 10 terrible, awesome tests that any normal person would say, hey, stop the car, let me out, I'll catch a taxi, take off, leave, go without me, right? I don't want any part of this whole business. Lech Lecha. God says to Abraham, first test, leave this land, I'm going to take you to the Holy Land. That's pretty good. And it says that Abraham went, and he went to the Holy Land, and there wasn't anything to eat. There was a famine. And Abraham had to leave and go to Egypt. And that was the first test. Abraham said, hey, what's going on here, God? You're the king of the universe, right? You're the truth. You're truth. You promised you're going to take me to this promised land. There's not even what to eat over here. There's nothing. What type of a God is this? That's it. I'm out. Count me out. Find another Abraham. Right? Do something. No, Abraham didn't say that. He said, okay, God, whatever you want, 100%. No problem. Big test. Okay, Parshas Lech Lecha, this is a general Torah portion. Parsha Zu, it begins the whole period of Abraham, Avram Avinu, the first Jew, HaYehudi Arishon. It begins from the first commandment that God gave to Abraham, and God said to Abraham, Lech Lecha, go, leave your land, your birthplace, from the house of your father, and go to the land that I will show you. And afterwards, Behemshech Parsha, in the continuation, it says that Abraham went to the land of Israel, and God promised he was going to give him the promised land, and God promised Abraham, I'm going to give you this land. I'm going to give you this land and your children forever. And after that, there was what we call the Brit Bein HaBetarim, that God made a covenant with Abraham. This is before the circumcision. God made a covenant, a promise, an eternal promise with Abraham between the pieces of the animals that Abraham sacrificed, right? He took a cow and a bait and a goat and this, and he cut them in two. He said he divided them. A batarim means the divisions, the pieces. Vayomahu Kurat Hashem, God made with Abraham a Avram. He didn't change his name. Abraham got his name changed only when he was circumcised. Avram, he made a covenant with Abraham, saying, "I'm going to give you the land of Israel." And then continues the Torah portion continues that it talks about God commanded Abraham to circumcise himself, and God did it, and Abraham did it. By means of this, God made a covenant between all of the Jewish people and God. This is my covenant between me and you, between your offspring after you. A brit b'basarchem, there will be a covenant in your flesh for an eternal covenant. McCaven sins, these things in Parshas Lech Lecha is a promise of God on the land of Israel, and the promise and the covenant of the circumcision. They are the first things in the service of Abraham Avinu, the first things written in the Torah. There's midrash that says there's a lot of things that happened before. Abraham was thrown into a fiery furnace. Fiery furnace, that should have been in the Torah. If I would write the Torah, I would put that was pretty impressive. That Abraham refused to bow down to Nimrod. He was the king of this, and Nimrod threw him into a fiery furnace. That it says that the furnace was so hot that the people who threw Abraham in, they threw him by means of this long pole, they burned up also. And Abraham did not burn. That's pretty impressive, huh? The Torah should have told us about that. But the Torah doesn't. Why? God has his reasons. I don't know why he didn't do it. Anyway, he didn't do it. Nevertheless, a lot of things happened before, but the first thing that's written in the Torah, the covenants and the things that Abraham did for the first Jew, that from him is the source of the Jewish people. So it's understood that these things of the circumcision and God said, Lech Lecha, leave the land, and God made a covenant between the pieces of the animals. This somehow or other expresses the whole entire content of the whole entire Torah and of Judaism. Right? The Torah, only how the law is what we're supposed to do in Judaism, but how we're supposed to do it, our attitude has to be one of Abraham. He was the first Jew. He didn't do any commandments. If it doesn't say in the Torah he did, it says that he did all the commandments, but in the Torah he doesn't have any commandments. The Torah, him, Isaac, Jacob, no rituals, no prayers. They don't even explain what God is. All these things are explained in Midrash and things like this. But the main thing we know about Abraham is that God told him, go from your land, and God disappointed him, so to speak. And then God made a covenant with him, with the pieces that he given the land of Israel. And then he made a circumcision that made the Jewish people God's people. Okay, what's so special about these three things? This commandment, Lech Lecha, and the land of Israel, and the circumcision. It's known She'im Avram, that with the birth of Abraham began what's called 2,000 years of Torah. Abraham was born approximately 2,000 years after the world was created, like 1,948 years after the world was created. Abraham began the preparation, though, for the giving of the Torah. The Torah was given 400 years after Abraham. was born. 400, something like that. 2448, yeah. So Abraham, he began the preparation for the giving of the Torah. And even more, Abraham began Hitchil Yechid Shel Matan Torah, that even with Abraham began the uniqueness of Matan Torah, of the giving of the Torah. And especially began Inyan Zeh Mitzivoy, from the commandment of Abraham, Lech Lecha. Okay, now God gave the Jews the Torah. This is a pretty bizarre thing, right? This is what the Jews believe. And in fact, most of the world, even those religions that claim to replace Judaism, God forbid, they agree that this story was true, that God did give the Jews the Torah. That God give the Arabs say that the Jews lost the Torah, and the Christians say that we don't know how to interpret the Torah properly to this, but nevertheless they agree that there was such a thing. That God gave. Now this is a very strange story. God took all the Jews, millions of them, out from Egypt, and he gave them his law. God told them what to do. God told, and there are these ridiculous, seemingly minute, unimportant things. They have to put boxes on their arm. They have to, in the box, there have to be these parchments that are written exactly. And if they're not written exactly, then it's not good. Come on, what type of a God is that, right? But that's the God of the Jews, and that's the God that's creating you and me. And thank God he's creating me and you with all these details, just like in the Torah. Because if not, right, okay, so one person, so he doesn't have an eyeball, so what, right? What's the big deal, right? My child was born without a head. Big deal, what do you have to have a head? He's got all the other things. What? God forbid. All the details have to be there. The same thing is with the Torah, right? But why? Who believes in such a thing like that? Even most of the Jews don't even believe it. It says this all began with Abraham. Abraham took this attitude that whatever God does, whatever God says, not is it only good, but I have to do it with all of my being, in tremendous joy that I can merit to do what my Creator, who's creating me, wants me to do. Therefore, that's the beginning of the Torah. Shalochin, and therefore, Gam lo mesupar b'Torah. It's not spoken in the Torah except for little details about all the deeds that Abraham did before he came to the land of Israel. Ikar Sipur, the main story of what Abraham did was when God told him to go to Israel. That's what we know. The whole thing about getting thrown into the fiery furnace and all this, it's not written there. The Erech Shabo, how he came to the land of Israel, that then Abraham he's already 75 years old. A lot happened before that. Like it's explained at greater length in Chassidut. So we have to explain everything in the Torah. I just want to see what this is. We have to understand. Everything that's in the Torah is a teaching. Torah is a teaching, an eternal teaching for all times and every place in the service of the Jewish people. What is the teaching that we can possibly learn to the Jewish people? Shala'achar Matan Torah, after Matan Torah. What God told Abraham before Matan Torah. Irui Chad Pami, something that happened one time to one person. How can that, what God told Abraham, one time to one person, that this be a preparation for the Matan Torah for millions of people? At first glance, it's a history. What do we care about what Abraham did? The main thing of the Torah is the commandments. The main thing of the Torah. What do you have to have all these details about Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and all these? Just give the Torah. The first of the commandments that God gave the Jews is what's called counting the months, right? Declaring when the month is. And you could have once in a while, right? God could say, listen, you know how much there is in the Midrash? Mountains and mountains of information are in the Midrash and in the Gemara. The same thing here. God could have just given the Torah, start with the commandments. The first commandment is counting the months, and then mention, this is the land that I gave to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Who is Abraham and Jacob? Who are these people? Look in the Midrash, you'll find out. Right? Look at the Midrash. The service of Abraham, So why do we have to write in such detail on the holy Torah given by God to teach the Jews? Every word teaches us something. What in the world does this teach us? This is before the Torah was given. It was only given talking about the one person. This Lech Lecha is a preparation and the giving of powers for all the Jews afterwards. This Eino Maspik Mishum She'eino Zaro. It's not, God is not saying, he said to Abraham, go from your land, and he didn't say anything about all the Jews should do it. This is no teaching for the Jewish people actually after the giving of the Torah. Even more, every year when we read this parsha in the Torah, we have to live with it brand new. How much more so every day it should be, the Torah in general should be in our eyes brand new all the time. Much more so when it's given in the year when we read the whole entire portion of the Torah in public with all the blessings. Since that, then it repeats on ourselves these things in the parsha. Bedugmas haitrachshut pam rishon. We're supposed to relive what had happened. Even more power. Every year is supposed to be adding up holiness. According to this, so it comes out in this Shabbat, coming Shabbat, Lech Lecha, when we read in public the story of Abraham, every single year it repeats on itself what God said to Abraham as a preparation for the giving of the Torah, and even more so, it adds on the holiness of the previous year and all the previous years before. If so, we have to understand, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? What type of preparation is this for the giving of the Torah? Now, when we're standing after, we're already after the giving of the Torah. The Torah was given 3,300 years ago. Why do we care about things that happened 400 years before the Torah? This is we're not only after the preparation of the Torah, we're after the actual giving of the Torah. And even more, Ha'inyan of Matan Torah, the whole idea of giving of the Torah is every day. Notain the Torah, we make a blessing that God gives the Torah. Every day it should be in your eyes brand new. According to the commandment, like it says, we raise up in holiness. So it's understood that every day there has to be a novelty, something new, more in the Torah. If so, after all of these elevations of the giving of the Torah, day after day, count the days. How many days are there in 3,300 and what is it, 35 years? Is that it? 3,335 years. How the Torah was given? Multiply that by 365 days. Every day it's supposed to be higher in our eyes. So if so,
three.
What?
I've heard it's 3,333 years, according to Rabbi Wolf.
No. 3,334. Listen, the Torah was given in 2448. And now we are in Pei Gimel. So Pei Gimel, so it should be 4. That's what it should be.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, last year. Oh, it changes every year.
Yeah, it's a brand new year.
Midei Shana V'Shana, like we hear in the Torah Parshas Yisro, Parshas Eschanan. That's also where the Torah is talked about in Yitro and Etchan. It's talked about the giving of the Torah. How much more so the time of the giving of the Torah and the holiday of Shavuot. These are elevations after elevations. The Torah has to be more and more real. If so, why do we have to? We've already received the Torah. Why do we have to know? And not only have we received the Torah, we've added on to the Torah every single day, every single year, at least 3 times every year. On the holiday of Shavuot, when we read about it in Yitro, we read about it in Etchanan. So we've done so many times elevations in the Torah itself. Why do we have to read about preparing for the Torah? We prepared already, received it. Why do we have to, what are we supposed to learn from this idea of preparing for the giving of the Torah by reading Abraham? We've already prepared. We can't say, Lo nitan lomar, that the service of Lech Lecha as a preparation for the giving of the Torah is only avor elu shechaser itzlam ba'avoda. Maybe this is talking, Lech Lecha, it's talking about Jews that got on late. They got on late, let's say Jews that just converted, or Jews that just started becoming religious, so they didn't really receive the Torah yet. So therefore, there has to be Lech Lecha to prepare them. The Rebbe said you can't say that. Why? Mishum because shegiluyim po'alim U'po'olatam shel aseret Dvar, because the effect of the 10 commandments when God gave the Torah the first time, and also every single year after that, and this doesn't depend on the service of the Jewish people. The revelation of Gil Matan Torah, a giving of the Torah on itself, this affects in the whole entire world. It says when God gave the Torah, it says that even birds didn't chirp. They didn't fly in the air. The whole world was quieted down when God gave the Torah. It says that the word of God didn't have an echo. It permeated all time and all place. How much more so in every single Jew? Until every single word, it says that their souls jumped out of their bodies. This shows that She'emi Giu, that they reached a complete service of God. So what do you have to prepare for? The Jews already received the Torah. Every Jew received. So why do we have to prepare? Let's just do one more, and then it said, let's say that Nakudas of beer is like this. Since Matan Torah is every single day of the year, in a way that's higher, Ad Shechadashim, that has to be brand new, Mamish, it has to be totally new in regarding to even last year or even yesterday. Like that's the whole special message of Lech Lecha. What does it mean, Lech Lecha? That you have to go out. You have to have halicha. A Jew always has to be moving. You can never rely on what you did yesterday. What you did yesterday is never sufficient. You can never, your safe, how do you say, your comfort zone should be that you're moving and serving God. That's what your comfort zone is. Not that you're in the same place and you don't have any worries. Exactly the opposite. You're looking for worries to fix up. Not that you should be worried about those worries, but that you want the world to be a better place. Hainu, namely, that you should be serving God in a way which is incomparable to what it was yesterday. How is it going to be? We'll see how. Therefore, you have to have on this day and this year a service of Lech Lecha. Lech Lecha means the general attitude you should have, that you have to go out of who you were yesterday. You can't say, listen, I'm a religious person. I do the commandments. I have tzitzis on. I got a beard. I keep Shabbos. I'm okay. I'm pretty good. I mean, look at that guy over there. He doesn't do anything. I really feel good. Compared to him, I feel great. Says the Rebbe, that's not what you're supposed to look at. You're supposed to look at God, and you're supposed to think, what I did in compared to what I did yesterday is what I obligated to do is infinitely great. And what about that other guy over there? You don't know what he's doing. It could be that he's fighting against a desire to go out and be a mass murderer. You don't know. And he's accomplishing more just by sitting and not killing people than you're accomplishing by all of your Torah and your commandments and all of your egotism and your self-certainty in this. This is, you have to go out of yourself all the time. Torah, giving the Torah of this day all the time. So you have to learn from Abraham to always be moving out of your own restrictions and out of your own successes and comfort. Abraham was the man. He was the first Jew, and he taught us what the world is really about. Now let's learn Yom Yom. All right, we had a little trouble in the beginning, but we made it. Here we go. Yom Yom. The Jewish people are compared to the stars twinkling in the high heavens. By the light of the Jewish people, even those people who walk in the darkness of the night, you will not blunder. At least there's some. They have these, these glasses. The army uses them, that you can see clearly by means of starlight. Every Jew, man or woman, possesses enough moral and spiritual strength to influence friends and acquaintances and bring them into light. In other words, don't keep it to yourself. Be an influence on others. Of course, you have to fix yourself up also. First, a little bit at least. It says, the Rebbe said, a person who just knows 2 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, Aleph and Beit, should teach the Beit to somebody who only knows Aleph. But you have to know the Aleph and Beit first. Have a good day with Moshiach. Now, see you, God willing, at 3 o'clock. And we'll learn Chumash with some explanation of commentaries.